Welcome to Forgotten Video Store, your guide to the best movies that you've never seen, also the worst movies that you've never seen. I'm David Murto. I'm your host. This is only the second time I've done this, so please be nice to me. I'd like to remind everyone that my guarantee on this show is that the movies we cover are not available to stream anywhere, and you, the listener, have never seen any of these movies. And if you have seen one of the movies that I cover and you can prove that you saw it before we talk about it on the pod, then you'll win a fabulous prize, which is a $25 gift card to Fry's Electronics. My guest this week is a wonderful TV writer and an even better friend. Ivory Floyd is here. Ivory, welcome.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming over. So, Ivory, I'm always interested to know like how people got their start in the business. How did you become a TV writer?
Oh man, so way back in the day, I graduated from college, didn't know what the hell I wanted to do, just knew that like I hated science classes, I hated math. So yeah, I had an English degree, which at the time was considered kind of useless.
I have one too, so I know what you're talking about.
Twinsies. I got my start in the Nickelodeon writing program. I was there for a year. Highly recommended if anyone out there is trying to be a writer, whether you want to work in animation or not, kids TV or not.
This is like you have to submit samples and stuff to get accepted?
Yes.
Okay, so you already have to be good to get in, right?
Yeah, so I don't know how they let me in. No, I'm kidding. I was there for a year. The program lasts for a year, and I had a couple of scripts produced by a show called Penguins of Madagascar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They like to move it, right?
Yeah, they like to move it. Yeah. It's a great show. And like the people behind it were super awesome. After that, it was like years for me of day jobs. Mm-hmm. And then out of the blue, a buddy of mine from the Nick writing program, Carrie Grant, she hit me up.
Carrie Grant?
Carrie Grant, yeah.
Spelled differently or than the actor?
Oh, well, he rose from the grave. No. Yeah, Carrie Grant, spelled with a K.
Okay.
She's wonderful. She hit me up. She was like, hey, I'm running this show called A Twist Scientist. It's being produced by the Obamas.
Right. Yeah,
we need writers. Do you want to sign up? And I was like, fuck yes. Yeah, I came on to that show, was hired as staff.
Awesome.
Never got to meet the Obamas, but I have framed an email from them.
Nice.
But we won an Emmy for Best Preschool Show.
Right, yeah.
So we got like a congratulations note from them. I got to hold an Emmy. Those things are heavy, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're also sharp.
Very sharp. Yeah. It is a weapon.
I had a friend who won an Emmy and then was like, there was a break-in in her neighborhood, and so she was like slept with it like right beside her to use as a weapon in case like someone got into her house.
Oh yeah, you could totally stab somebody with that thing.
Yeah,
like,
that would make headlines, I feel like.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. The cops would be like, well, there was a murder here, but it was pretty sick. So yeah, so during that I also did some freelance on Ridley Jones. There's another preschool show on Netflix. I've written on for the Wondery Podcast Network, for Little Stories Everywhere, and also Who's Amazing Life. And after that, I met you at Kindergarten the Musical, which is streaming right now on Disney Junior. Work the algorithm. Please work the algorithm, is that thing we all are afraid of. That's really how I got my start. You know, just work hard, have fun, don't be a dick, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. Like, just make friends with the talented people around you and like keep in touch with them, which is why I invited you over.
Yay!
Also, because I like having you around, of course.
Shucks.
And what kind of stuff? I know you're like into martial arts and like some cool stuff like that. What kind of stuff do you get on?
Let's see. So yeah, I train in Muay Thai. I've been training in that for like about 6 years now, I think. And I just started training in judo, so I'm learning how to fall down a lot.
Cool.
And also I train in powerlifting. Basically, I'm like a dork that got a weight bench for Christmas one day, and that's what happened.
This is a movie podcast, so like, what type of movies are you into? You like martial arts type movies, right?
Yeah, I like anything where people are getting punched in the face.
Okay. Yeah, we bonded over the John Wick movies.
Yes, I love movies like anything with Donnie Yen. I'm instantly in.
Yeah, he's so compelling.
He's so great. Yeah, but I love like The Raid, Gangs of London. I just finished Daredevil. So yeah, I'm into like the comic book stuff. Anything in the quote unquote geek space, I'm super obsessed with. And yeah, if someone's getting kicked in the head, I'm in.
Awesome. All right, so this morning we got an early start. We went by the Forgotten Video Store in North Hollywood. looked through a bunch of videos, and you picked out something called Nursing Home Alone.
Yes.
From 2015, directed by Chris Columbus, who directed the first two Home Alone movies, and starring Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, and Daniel Stern. Why'd you pick out Nursing Home Alone?
One of the things, like when I watch like an old movie from back in the day, I always think about like, okay, what happens if that kid grows up? Like in Jurassic Park, you know, the kids who get trapped in the car with the T-Rex, and
right, yeah,
and the girl, she's like, he left us. I'm always thinking like, okay, she's gonna grow up with like such trust issues. Like she's never gonna trust anyone again because she's gonna remember this time that an adult left her with a monster, and her and her brother had to fend for themselves. I think the same thing with Kevin McCallister. I mean, this is a kid who booby-trapped his house, who essentially nearly killed two grown adult men twice. Wait, were there three? There were 3 Home Alones, right?
There are around 5.
Jesus.
But Kevin McCallister has nothing to do with parts 3 or 4 or 5.
Okay.
And then when they made Nursing Home Alone, it's kind of like Terminator. You know how every new Terminator like ignores all of them except the first 2?
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with Nursing Home Alone, is that they're kind of ignoring parts 3 and 4. French Stewart was in one of them. Remember from Third Rock from the Sun?
He was in one of them. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
He's not as scary as Joe Pesci.
But who is?
Yeah, so that's a great point. So that is kind of what this movie is. It's Kevin McCallister, who we know and love from Home Alone and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, as a grown man in his 30s. Like you hinted at, over the course of his experiences in the first 2 Home Alone movies, he developed a taste for inflicting pain on his fellow human beings, which is demented. And so we get to see kind of the fallout from those first 2 movies.
It's like when you see a kid and like, oh, hey, like I killed this lizard. And you're like, oh, okay, we should probably keep an eye on them. It's very much like that kind of behavior. Like in reality, Kevin McCallister, after the first movie, would definitely be institutionalized. They'd be like, you set up all these death traps in your home. You could have just called the police. You could have done literally anything else, but instead you chose violence.
And we get into that right away in the first scene of this movie. You kind of see Macaulay Culkin older. He's depicted, it's not explicit, but he's depicted kind of like a tweaker. You know, he's got maybe some addiction troubles. He looks very unkempt. You get the impression that he's been hunting the wet bandits all these years, and he's finally tracked them down. And because he's like kind of parked outside of this nursing home, and he sees the nursing home, and he's like, I finally found you. And Macaulay Culkin, you know, he's still got the acting chops. He's a frightening guy. Maybe not a Kieran Culkin acting chops, but he's still a good actor. So we get this little teaser at the very front after the opening credits with Macaulay Culkin parked outside of the nursing home, looking all menacing. And then we're into the sequence with the Wet Bandits themselves, played by Joe Pesci, who is like 15 years into his retirement at this point. He was one of these people who's really bad at retiring, who's like, I'm retiring from acting, and he keeps on coming back.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of parents are like that, where it's like, okay, like I just need 2 weeks off, and then they get like bored very quickly. So Joe Pesci's like, yeah, I'll do a new movie, whatever, I'm free.
Yeah. And then Daniel Stern, who is maybe in his 50s in this movie, so it's a little of a stretch that he'd be in a nursing home as well. But Joe Pesci's in his like 70s, so maybe he's just like, they love each other so much that they want to spend time together. And we learn that they escaped from prison after the events of Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, but they're under assumed identities. And that becomes important because that's why after Kevin starts attacking the nursing home, they can't call the police, is because they don't want to get caught and sent back to prison after all these years. But their assumed identities, they kind of just swapped names. So like Harry is Marv now, and Marv is called Harry.
Yeah, they weren't very creative with that. Yeah.
Right. But it seems to be working for them.
I mean, and again, these are also 2 grown men who were thwarted by a child twice. So like, we're not dealing with a high IQ amongst them. Yeah. One of the things I really loved about this movie was also just the relationship between Harry and Marv, where they've had their scores, like they face the consequences. At this point, they just want to live a quiet life. They just want to chill. They want to relax. Like, what's that saying? Like, the best revenge is living well. And in their mind, they're like, okay, we're getting one over on this kid, not just by living well. Like, they barely think about Kevin McCallister. Like, Kevin McCallister is like far in the rear view. Now they get like 3 square meals a day. They get a nice roof over their head. They get to hang out with like the other residents inside the nursing home. Like, they're actually living a really nice, peaceful life.
That's a great point. And it's kind of contrasting to the beginning of the first Home Alone where Kevin like hates his family and wishes them away. Like, it doesn't really have that going on because they seem to really enjoy the company of their fellow old folks in the old folks home.
Yeah.
And they get along with Miss Kate, who's the woman who runs the home, who's played by Catherine O'Hara. And you're at this point kind of like, she was in Home Alone.
Yeah, wait, is that Kevin's wait,
right.
Why is Kevin's mom here?
But maybe it's just like you can't have a Home Alone movie without Catherine O'Hara.
I feel like you can't, yeah.
Yeah, so like they just wrote this new role, Miss Kate, for her. But she's getting all the residents ready for their big trip to New York to Radio City Music Hall to see the Rockettes for Christmas. And the night before, 2 of the old folks in the old folks home die. And they're like, oh, we lost 2 of them.
It's so sad too, because like Harry and Marv, they're like so attached to these people. Like, it is a found family. It's a family like that they haven't really experienced. So I was like, oh, Mr. Jenkins died. Like, I was like really feeling that.
So they're kind of depressed and they stay up all night swapping stories about Mr. Jenkins and their other friend whose name I can't remember. And that kind of plays into the plot, which is why they sleep past their alarm the next morning and miss the bus to go to Radio City Music Hall. And I think they established they're in Evanston, Illinois, and so it's going to take like a while to get to New York. Catherine O'Hara's character has the list and was like going, like checking off everybody as they're getting on the bus, and she's like, oh, we're missing 2 people from the list. Oh, but those 2 people died yesterday.
Yeah.
So then she's like, okay, we can go, not realizing they had already updated the list. So there were only supposed to be 38 people, but now there's 36. So that's kind of where the confusion happens. Have you seen Open Water? It's kind of the exact same thing that happens there, where they miscount the people on the boat.
Where it's like, okay, well, we got enough. Like, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Like, it made me feel really sad. Well, I shouldn't say sad, but like I felt bad. I was like, is this like a commentary on like how we treat old people? Because like, you know, you're not really like what they say, like after you hit a certain age, like you're not really seen by the world anymore, and that's what Harry and Marv are experiencing.
That's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, and that's interesting because Chris Columbus, the director of this movie, doesn't usually get into social issues like that.
Yeah, you know? But like I felt like with this one, he was like, you know what? I have something to say.
Yeah.
He's gotten older, or maybe he has like a grandparent in like not so great nursing home, and he's like, you know what? I want people to see what I see, and while also making money with Kevin McCallister. That's my dream.
So Harry and Marv wake up. They realize they've slept in. They missed the bus to Radio City Music Hall. They search all around high and low. Miss Kate. They can't find Miss Kate. They think, well, let's make the best of it. It's Christmas. We have the run of the home to ourselves. Like, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
They go to the screening room because they have this wonderful screening room. I'm always jealous of nursing homes that have like these giant screening rooms.
Yeah, it's kind of dope. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can play whatever they want. So they play the legacy sequel to Angels with Filthy Souls. And then there's a scene where they order Chinese food, but they don't want anyone to find out that they're home alone in the nursing home. So they play the movie as the Chinese delivery guy arrives to deliver their order. And then the movie, they have the lines sync up from the movie, which happened, I believe, in the first, maybe even the first 2 Home Alone movies. But in this, they're really stretching it with the dialogue matches a little too exactly. The guy's like, here's your order. And the movie's like, how much do I owe you? And they're passing the money under the door. And the guy's like, can I get you anything else? And then they play the movie dialogue and it's like, don't forget the fortune cookies. And you're like, well, it's kind of a stretch to think that would be happening in the movie.
Yeah, and the poor DoorDash guy, like, doesn't care. Like, it's just like, it's very realistic in that, like, the DoorDash guy's like, okay, whatever. so do I get like a tip? Or and like they're scrambling to like rewind the movie because they didn't anticipate him asking for that.
And so they give him 5 stars, and then they eat the Chinese food. That's a really wonderful sequence.
Yeah, it's like they're just living this really happy life. You know, we were talking about like Chris Columbus, the director, wanted to like touch on social issues. Part of me was like, is this like also talking about how, you know, hey, just because you go to prison doesn't mean like you're a bad person forever. Like, you know, you can come out of prison and maybe you were a thief that terrorized a child back in the day. That sounds really bad when I say it out loud. But once you're done and you served your time, maybe you can leave that all behind and you can start anew.
But this movie posits something a little different in that they didn't serve their time. They escaped from prison.
Yeah.
And that actually served as an even better deterrent because they were thinking, we have to live a clean life from now on, or we'll go back for sure.
Yeah.
And then they found so much more joy than they ever found being the wet bandits or the sticky bandits in Home Alone Part 2. So we check back in with Kevin McCallister, Macaulay Culkin's character. He thought they were on the bus going to Radio City Music Hall, but then there's a sequence of Catherine O'Hara in the bus realizing, sits straight up and goes, "Harry and Marv!" Because she realizes they aren't on the bus. And so she gets off the bus and is trying to find a way to go back, but she doesn't have her car with her because she was on the bus, obviously. Her Uber and Lyft accounts have been suspended.
They present her as a character who is kind of really bad with technology. She would leave like 1 star because she's like, oh, like, because
they were my number 1 star.
Yeah. Or she wouldn't, or like when it says like leave a tip, she would write a message of advice instead of like, you know, money. So she's pretty much been banned off of there from like Uber and Lyft's perspective. They're like, okay, well, this person's terrible. Like all the drivers gave her like really low scores. So she can't even use that.
Yeah, so she's in some small town in, I guess, Ohio or something, and they don't have any taxi cab services, and she's trying to figure out a way to get back. Kevin sees this and is like, Harry and Marv are home alone. And he hightails it back.
Such a feeling of dread, because like Kevin McCallister is presented as just like this shadow. And at first you don't even know it's Kevin. It's just like some sketchy dude, because you don't really see like... You see like glimpses of Macaulay, but you can't tell that it's Macaulay. You're just seeing like his eyes
or his long, dirty fingernails.
Yeah, and like I love the detail that they gave where he's wearing dog tags. Yeah, he goes back and he's like, Harry and Marv, they're home alone. Like, skrr, and like hightails it back over to the old folks' home. And poor Harry and Marv are just completely unaware, just like blissfully ignorant. It was so creepy in the movie where it's kind of like a real life nightmare where, you know, they're just sitting in the old folks' home. They're like by the window, the snow's falling. They're like looking out the window. Very idyllic. Yeah, they have their cocoa. They're like kind of toasting to each other. They're like, hey, to Mr. Jenkins, to Mr. Jenkins. And they see this van that keeps going back and forth slowly. And
she's like, yo, you see that van?
Yeah. Because again, these dudes, they were about that life back in the day.
Yeah, they had a van that looked almost the same.
Yeah, so they clock it immediately. They're like, hey, Harry, do you see this? And it's just like slowly creeping. And that's when we finally get the reveal, that close up of like Macaulay Culkin's face, and their eyes light up with horror. They're like, it's the kid. And
she's like, which he likes to do in these movies so he doesn't have to swear. But even though this movie was a little more mature than the first two, so they maybe could have gotten away with some swearing, but it's good to have that continuity of character.
Yeah. It did feel like they were going for like a 4-quadrant kind of thing, even though they really didn't have to. Harry's like, okay, well, we've got to call the cops. And Marv's like, don't call the cops, like...
We'll get sent back to the slammer!
To the joint! And then we cut to the police station where detectives are like, they're looking at these cases. They're like, yeah, got another dead body, at another nursing home. And they're putting together like this Charlie Day conspiracy board.
Right, with the yarn.
Yeah, of like all these nursing homes that have been hit with like random break-ins and murders, and their prime suspect, it's Kevin McCallister. They start going into his background of like...
Yeah, and that's where you get a little more information about how like he was a troubled youth after the events of the first 2 movies. Then he like flunked out of school, was sent to like a military academy, and you think they'd get him in shape, but no, he's just like acting out. The only thing he was ever good at was inflicting pain. And it's like he had a dishonorable discharge because like he served in Afghanistan, but he wouldn't like kill the enemy. He would like capture them and torture them.
Yeah, he would make them
paint cans to the face.
Yeah, he would capture the enemy, have them in a house, and they would wake up in a house filled with like his booby traps, but you know, the paint can to the face also has a landmine attached to it, so it's like blowing off dude's head.
Part of his face is gone.
Yeah, it was like very like cruel and unusual punishment, and like his entire squad, they cut to like quick interviews with them, and they're like, "Yeah, man, something about those eyes. All he wanted was pizza and pain. Something about those eyes."
Yeah, and then they do like the match cut of him back in Afghanistan, and then him modern day like staring at the nursing home, and you're
Chilling.
like, but Harry and Marv have a plan.
I do
They go to is there I think there's a laundry room in nursing homes.
Yeah, nursing homes are kind of mysterious in that they kind of have everything.
So there's like the laundry room, and they go to the laundry room. They get a bunch of outfits from their fellow residents, and they're hanging them all on. Oh, it's like one of those chairs that like goes from upstairs to downstairs.
Yeah, like the little motorized ones.
Yeah, that helps them go from floor to floor, and they hang up a bunch of the outfits on that track. So when the chair goes up and down, it's kind of shifting around all the outfits. You cut to Kelvin McCallister outside. He's looking, and he sees by the window, a bunch of people are going up and down. And he's like, oh, so they aren't home alone after all.
Yeah.
So that buys them a little more time.
Yeah, I felt so bad for the neighbor that passed by. "Sir, are you lost?" Like knocking on Kevin's door. Like, "Oh, sir, are you waiting for somebody in there?" And Kevin's just like, "No. Just passing through." And I was like, that person's gonna be haunted for the rest of their life.
And that guy then started salting the streets again, and you realize it was the old man's from the first movie, his estranged son's son, who is carrying on the tradition of salting the streets.
And he doesn't even know. Like he kind of recognized for like the briefest of seconds. He's like,
yeah, because they cross paths at one point.
Yeah,
in the first movie.
He's like, have we met? And Kevin's like, no,
and we never will. You're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin crushes in this movie, by the way. Like, he is terrifying.
Then we're kind of into the final stretch of the movie, which is kind of why you want to see it in the first place, is Macaulay Culkin breaking into the old folks' home. And he gets in through the community garden, because that's like the one place where the doors they're locked, but there's like the little cat door. Culkin is like, he's a wiry little guy, so he fits, like, he slithers in. It's kind of like the Grinch and How the Grinch Stole Christmas is like slithering around. He slithers in through the cat door. It's real creepy. He opens up his bag, and it's like, remember in the first Batman with Jack Nicholson, it's like the guy who fixes his face. You see like his tray of tools.
Yeah.
It's like, it looks exactly like those tools, and you're like, oh, what's he gonna do with these? It's like, this doesn't bode well for Harry and Marv. But Harry and Marv were prepared for this eventuality, because they're like, what can we use here in the nursing home to repel this guy who's hunting us?
They're backed in the corner, and they're like, you know what? We're going to use this kid's own tactics against him. Like,
he's going to be hoisted by his own petard.
Yeah, like, he's never been the one. He's been home alone, but he's never the one breaking into a home alone.
And that's kind of interesting, because the alone becomes thematic throughout the movie, because Kevin is truly alone.
Oh, yeah.
Harry and Marv, although they're home alone, they're never truly alone because they have each other.
Yeah, like, we get like those scenes at the police station where like they're calling, like, you know, Kevin McCallister's family members, and they're like, oh yeah, we haven't heard from Kevin in like 10 years. He just kind of shut everyone out. He just kept on saying that, like,
that's the
you forgot me.
The scene with Buzz.
Yeah. Buzz, who was like the bully older brother in the first movies.
You know anything about the actor who plays him?
I do not.
Okay, yeah, don't look into it.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he's in this movie real briefly, and he seems to be living his best life. But then we get back to Catherine O'Hara's character, and she meets... Now, John Candy is long since passed when this movie was made. So she meets a similar type character, but it's Jacob Wysocki.
Yeah.
Who's like a younger version. And he's like...
Love him. Yeah, he was great in this.
Yeah, so instead of like... I think it was John Candy was like a polka artist. And Jacob Wysocki's like... what does Skrillex do? Dubstep.
Yeah.
He's like a dubstep DJ.
Again, folks, older movie. So,
yeah. So he's like, he's hanging out in this coffee shop, like bragging to everyone about how he's on like a nationwide tour and his next stop is in Chicago. And Catherine O'Hara like perks up. He's like, Chicago? Can I get a ride? And he's like, ass, grass, or gas. I didn't know what that meant, but apparently it means like no one rides for free. You gotta provide ass, gas, or grass, meaning marijuana. And she's like, okay, I'll pay for gas.
Yeah.
And so like...
He's like, fair.
It could have gone like real strange real quick, but they kind of just choose the safest option there. So she's on a road trip with Jacob Wysocki, who's very interesting, and he's like trying to demonstrate some of his DJ skills like as he's driving.
Yeah, I would watch a movie with those two together because it was very much like this thing where he kind of like had his shot, it passed, and now he's just kind of like clinging on.
Right, because like when was dubstep popular? It was like 2010 maybe.
Yeah.
So this was like 5 years after.
He's definitely like missed the train on it. But like he's still like, oh, all I need is just like this one big gig, man. This one big gig. And like, even though he comes off initially as like, oh, kind of sketchy, as they keep driving, you're like, oh, well, this is just kind of like a front. Like he's trying to like play a role instead of being
as
himself.
a confident. Yeah. And Catherine O'Hara, of course, is so caring. She's so nurturing, and she like you can see why she's the head of a nursing home. It's like she can connect with anyone at this personal level. But then, so Macaulay Culkin is breaking into the nursing home, and the first thing he does is like, I'm gonna go upstairs where the beds are because it's like nighttime or whatever, and he's gonna break in, and then he's sneaking up, and then when bam, he gets hit in the head, and it's like a giant pill bottle that says dementia pills on it. And you're like, oh, yeah, they must have so many patients with dementia that they need like the industrial sized dementia pills bottle. It kind of harkens back to the original film. Yeah, there's like this quick flash when it happens because like he gets bonked in the head and his eyes light up, and you see like a quick flash of Harry Marv getting bonked in the head. In the old movie, kind of it's come full circle. Yeah, and he's just like, those motherfuckers. And that's the first F-bomb you hear in the whole movie. Yeah, it's kind of shocking. Yeah, because I'm thinking like, oh, is this a kid's movie? Because they're censoring everything Joe Pesci says. So he's like, that's the game we're gonna play. Okay, I know how this goes. Yeah, so he gets out some of his tools and he starts climbing up the side of the stairwell, and they're shooting pill bottle after pill bottle down, but he's evading them because he's not climbing up the stairs in a normal fashion. He's like almost like a ice mountain climber. Yeah. The whole time he's just like, silent night, holy night. Yeah, I forgot this was a Christmas movie. Like, it's freaky, man. And like Harry and Marv's just like, it's not working. Keep throwing, Harry, keep throwing. Yeah. So they go to the next, their next little hideout, and he's following them, and up on the housetop, reindeer paws, and you get a lot of him singing Christmas carols in this, which is like, it helps with the Christmas spirit. Yeah. He busts into the next room where he thought he saw them go in. Then, so it's a bunch of like the bunch of walkers. Yeah. Walkers, thank you. Yeah. It's a bunch of walkers that like the people might need, but they're piled high, and they kind of once he opens the door, they topple over on him, and he's like. Yeah, and that was like also freaky too, because like some of the walkers, like like the little plastic pegs they put on the bottom of them, right? They've been removed, so it's like now it's like a jagged edge, and like slicing up his legs. Yeah, why do they make them like that with a jagged edge? I don't know, but like I think specifically for that's why movie. People put like tennis balls and stuff like that. Yeah. So he gets cut up and there's blood everywhere, and this seems to only energize him more. He's never felt so alive. And then he starts going thumpity thump thump thumpity thump thump. Look at Kevin go. At this point, we cut back to like the police station where like they have their conspiracy wall, and like they're like, okay, whoever this is. Our suspect has hit all these other nursing homes.
there's only one left that hasn't been hit, and it's where Harry and Marv live. So it's like, okay, are they going to get there in time before Harry and Marv die? And then we cut back, Kevin's chasing them through the nursing home. And at one point, they set up this trap where a bunch of like those, I don't know exactly what they call it. It's like a urinal?
Bedpan.
Bedpan, yes, thank you.
And they're all full at this point because they
yeah.
didn't have time to empty them before the trip to Radio City Music Hall.
Almost kind of sweet the way it happened, because Kevin passes the room where Mr. Jenkins died, and there's like a little memorial there. Yeah. And Kevin's like, don't worry, you'll be joining your friends soon. And then out of nowhere, the Wet Bandits drop like a bedpan on him.
Right. And they're like, hey, Harry, it looks like we're the Wet Bandits again. Ha!
Mr. Jenkins is high.
Yeah, because there's piss all over Kevin. Spends the rest of the movie with piss on him.
At this point, like, I know because some folks out there might be thinking, like, oh man, like poor Kevin McCallister. No, Kevin McCallister is a monster in this.
Yes,
like he
arguably in the original also.
Yeah, like those flashbacks to Afghanistan, they are grim.
They make Abu Ghraib look like a Abu Ghraib time.
Like, do not feel bad for Kevin McCallister in this. And they're like launching all these attacks at Kevin. There's the part where they have slingshots with TV remotes that like smack Kevin in the eye.
There was a part with like a bunch of jigsaw puzzle pieces, and they like kind of, I think they were trying to recreate like the sharp Christmas ornaments from the first movie, but it's like jigsaw puzzle pieces. Like, I get that it's the old folks home type of thing, but it's not. It probably wouldn't hurt very much.
There's a part where, he's tripping over IV bags that they've set on the floor, and like he's like splashing in those, and he's just like, these wet bandits.
But then they get to the point where he's really cornered them, and you think, oh, it's over for the wet bandits. He gets out some of his like scary torture tools, and they've got one more trick up their sleeve, because they open up the window
outside in like this patio area. They set up like one last trap. It's almost like a lure, because as we established, like the only thing Kevin McCallister wants is pizza and pain. And out there, it's like the most perfect pepperoni pizza you've ever seen. And it's just like sitting out there at the patio. And like at this point, the Wet Bandits, they're like trying to reason Kevin. They're like, Kevin, remember the good old days?
We go back a long way.
We go way back, kid. Remember the good old days when you were eating pizza? A pizza like, when's the last time you had a good pizza? Because we forgot to mention, but like throughout the movie, like Kevin McCallister is eating like old bad pizza. It's like the only thing he eats.
He stops by Papa John's and he's like, this just isn't right.
Yeah, like it's not the same. It doesn't taste like Christmas.
As Little Nero's is what he likes. So it's like they got the perfect Little Nero's pizza out the window.
And it's like this really almost redemption moment, because like it's the first time you see Kevin McCallister go back to like the wide-eyed kid he was back in 1990.
He's like,
when the movie was made?
92 was the second one.
Okay.
So, and he's like, a large pizza just for me. And he says it like in the tone like he used when he was a little boy. And he goes out, and it looks like, you assume it's like some sort of terrace or like balcony area, but he steps out, and it turns out it's a bunch of those collapsible nursing home beds piled high. And so he steps, and the whole thing kind of collapses around him. And then he's like, those shit stains are really gonna pay this time. But then like you hear two different noises kind of coming from each side. Like you hear the cop cars pulling up, and you hear dubstep. And you're like, oh, it's all coming together. And so the cops are running out. Culkin is like climbing the pile. He with his tools.
Yeah, at this point, like one of his legs has been broken, like from the collapse.
And then Marv, who's going by Harry, who's Joe Pesci's character, is like, I don't think I can go on, because he's like hasn't had his medicine all day, and he's like, go, and Daniel Stern's like, I'm not going without you, buddy.
We're the sticky bandits. We stick together.
Yeah. That's the emotional core of this movie, is like Joe Pesci was always at Daniel Stern's throat, but deep down he loves him, and they're always going to be together. So that's kind of this. So they decide to stick together. McCallister comes through the window and is like, I'm gonna chop off your little finger and I'm gonna watch you eat it, and this kind of stuff. And then the police are rushing up, but then Miss Kate is there, and Miss Kate goes, Kevin! And you're like, oh, so she is playing the same character from the first movie. She's playing Kate McCallister, Kevin's mother. And then it's kind of like that thing where you're around your parent and you revert back to who you were when you lived with them. And he's like, Mom, I'm just. And she's like, I know what you're doing. You were going to cut those men's little fingers off and feed them to them. And she's really telling him off, and the police come up, and they're like, we've been searching all through the greater Chicagoland area for this guy. And they're like, oh, and who are these two, Harry and Marv? And the one cop who's like has been putting it all together is like, now Harry and Marv, he like knows they're the Wet Bandits or whatever.
Yeah, because you can't investigate Kevin McCallister without knowing about Harry and Marv.
So they've been like...
He has their picture from back in the day.
And they've been on the loose for like 20 years or whatever. And so he goes like, you're Harry, you're Marv. And Miss Kate McCallister goes, no. This guy's name is Harry and this guy's name is Marv. And the guy's like, oh, so they must be like completely different people.
I suppose. And also at this point, Harry and Marv just look like two terrified old men. While like this psychopath has been trying to kill them. And so the cops are kind of just like, well, maybe we just, you know what? Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that cold case is gonna stay cold.
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
Like Jacob Wazaki comes in. He's like, "Come on, guys, it's Christmas!"
And he's got his setup there, his portable setup, and he starts spinning some like Christmas Carol dubstep. Fall on your knees, and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like the cops are even like, "Okay, stop. Okay, please, sir, if we leave, will you stop?" And he's just like, maybe.
Yeah. But then like the rest of the old folks comes home and they're like, I thought you were seeing the Rockettes. And they were like, it was too sexy for us. Like, we're not into that kind of stuff anymore. What, you think we're dirty old men or something?
Yeah, plus like, you can't have Christmas without Harry and Marv. We're a family.
Yeah, and so Jacob Waisaki's like, he chooses to miss his like one gig because he's like, what? There were going to be like 5 people there? This is so much better. And he like spins for the whole nursing home and they're having like a wonderful Christmas party, eggnog and stuff.
Yeah, Kevin McCallister is like being hauled away. He's just screaming. He's just like, you'll be home alone. You'll be home alone too. You'll always be home alone.
And that's when you hear like, oh, we'll never be alone because we have each other. Oh, and John Hurd then shows up and he's not been in the movie at all, but he like has a big like Gatorade jug sized thing of eggnog and they start like, this really puts me in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, I feel like John Hurd like just heard that this movie was happening.
Yeah,
and it was like, hey, can I show up? Set. He just showed up one day. Yeah, and they were like, fuck it. Yeah.
Like the guy who played Tank showing up for the Matrix sequels. Did you ever hear about that?
No, he just showed up.
He just showed up.
I didn't know about that.
He's not in the movies. I think.
No, he's not. Yeah.
Yeah, so the movie wraps up like that, and it's real satisfying. You see Kevin get his comeuppance, and the Wet Bandits express their love for each other. It's a very beautiful sequence. You might be wondering, like, why wasn't this movie a hit or whatever? I was reading about it online, and they, wrote the movie. Chris Columbus wrote the movie, shot the movie, had all the cast come back. Joe Pesci's out of retirement and whatever. And, like, before they were done, before they put the music in, because they were trying to get John Williams to put the music in. And actually, this is one reason why the movie's so much more like brutal than the first two, is like the violent sequences don't have the goofy music under them.
Yeah, there's no like Holly Jolly soundtrack. It's just Kevin McCallister as a grown man,
right,
creepily singing Christmas songs.
Right, and then you hear like the bones crunching and stuff. But anyway, so it was before they put the music in, they like found like a handwritten document from John Hughes, who wrote the first 2 movies, and it said, Kevin McCallister shall never return to the silver screen. And Chris Columbus was like, well, this guy was my friend for years. Like, I can't do anything to go against his wishes. John Hughes had passed away for many years by this point. And so they just, they shelved the movie. at some point, a copy of early copy of the movie got leaked, and they got a copy of it at the Forgotten Video Store, and that's how we watched it today.
Yeah, it was an experience because right now it's the middle of April. I wouldn't say this put me in the Christmas spirit.
No, it made me feel kind of gross about the whole idea of Christmas.
Yeah, this felt like Saw. It felt like a Saw.
Yeah. It was more akin to a Saw,
but with like a much happier ending.
It's great to see Joe Pesci in action.
Yeah, and I will say everyone in this movie, top to bottom, they are fantastic. Macaulay Culkin brings it. The Wet Bandits, they're awesome.
Jacob Wysocki, of course.
Crushes, yeah. Everyone here is clearly having a good time. They're clearly believing in this project, and they know what it is, which is really nice.
So you do feel bad for them, much like the crew of Batgirl or whatever movie that Zaslav is killing this week. It's like everyone worked hard, but you got to respect John Hughes and his wishes.
Yeah,
because he was a fountain from whence the whole Home Alone universe sprang.
I'm just glad we get to bring it to light a little bit. Even if people don't get to see it, they know what's out there.
Nursing Home Alone. So I think we both liked it. It was like, it didn't scratch the same itch as the original Home Alone movies, but it was, it was something to behold.
Yeah, this isn't a movie that you put on in the background of a party or anything like that. This is more so like if you're in a very specific mood, just chilling at home, alone.
Yeah. To wrap things up, I do something around here called plugs and rants. Anything you want to promote, now's the time, and anything you want to get off your chest, now's a good time also. I'll start off. I'll promote a show we worked on together, Kindergarten the Musical.
Yeah.
Disney Plus. You can stream all the episodes. Wonderful music, catchy tunes. Some of the music's on Spotify now, but only like a small selection of the songs.
Yeah.
They should have just put them all out there. It's because every episode is packed with great music. And then for my rant, I'm a dad now. I have a 16-month-old son. He's not here right now. He said he had like some stuff to take care of, so he went out.
He's busy. Yeah. He's living his life.
But anyway, so I've got like the sticker on my car, Baby on Board. Everyone's got one of these.
Yeah.
Mine's cute. It was like we custom made them here. It has like a big Totoro and then a little baby Totoro.
Nice.
And a Baby on Board. And you see those all over. But now also occasionally you see like some wiseacres with like a play on them, like no baby on board. Feel free to ram into me or whatever. It's like no baby on board, but please don't kill me either. Like stuff like that. And
okay, that's weird.
It is weird, and it's like the implication is like, parents who have the baby on board thing are paranoid and think like the only reason no one's running into me is like, please, I have kids or whatever, which is not really the case. I think the baby on board sticker is more like to warn other drivers like, there's a big distraction in this other car, so be aware.
Yeah,
like,
this car is going to be driving slower than everyone else because I have a toddler in the backseat who's like singing along to Bluey right now. Please be patient with me.
Or God forbid, if there's like an accident, you want the first responders to know like, there's a kid in this car. Check on them first. Yeah, that's my rant. Maybe not something I'm super passionate about. So it didn't feel that rant like. Next time I'll get some real work.
No, I feel like that's a rant because like I don't like it when folks are like, this person's posting just pictures of their baby online. It's like, well, yeah, it's a human being that they like made. I think you'd be proud of it too. Like,
giving me grief because I have a kid.
Yeah, you don't know my life.
All right, Ivory, what kind of stuff do you want to promote and rant about?
Let's see. Yeah, Kindergarten the Musical. It's on Disney Plus and Disney Junior. Great preschool show for the kiddos. Also, Iyanu. It's a show that just dropped on Cartoon Network and also streaming on Max.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really proud of it. I was staff writer on there. Based on graphic novels, it's basically, think of it as Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Black Panther.
Whoa.
So like if all that happened in like West Africa.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's magic, there's lore, there's giant leopards that spit lasers. It's pretty cool.
That must have been fun to work on.
It was fun. It was fun to be on the show where we can blow up stuff. Yeah, that's always great, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of blowing up stuff in Kindergarten the Musical.
I mean, I pitched it, but the budget happens and they're like, you can't blow them up. I'm like, okay, whatever. But the kids gotta learn someday, right?
All right. Thank you so much for coming over, Ivory. Really. Hold up. I forgot to get Ivory's rant. So after he left, I texted him about it and he sent me the following voice memo.
Hey, David. So here's my rant. Okay, so I play a game called Marvel Rivals. It's super popular. It's basically it's a shooting game where you play as teams of superheroes. You can have like Wolverine, the Hulk, and Storm from the X-Men on one side versus Spider-Man, and it's a lot of fun. I love it. There's this one character called Jeff the Land Shark. Jeff the Land Shark is exactly what he sounds like. He is a cute, adorable little shark with 4 legs, and his big super move is that he can swallow people. He can swallow all the guys in the enemy team and spit them out. But instead, what a lot of people will do when I'm on their team is that our Jeff will swallow all the people and then dive off a cliff for no reason. And now Jeff, he also heals people. So he's basically a medic. So now our medic has jumped off the face of the earth, and usually they take maybe 1 or 2 people with them if they're lucky, where literally there's a button that says, hey, you can spit them out right now, but instead you chose to kamikaze yourself, and now it affects my rank and ranked play. This is the most first of first world problems, but every time it happens, I want to snap my controller in half. So yeah, that's my rant.
Thank you so much for coming over, Ivory. It really means a lot to me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I treasure your friendship. And,
likewise.
It's always fun when we get to hang out, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah, man.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Forgotten Video Store. Please do me a quick favor and rate and review the show if you've got a minute. And most importantly, share this show with your movie-loving friends and family. I'll be back in 2 weeks with my friend from the American Cinematheque discussing a 1990s Fox TV movie about the imminent threat of killer bees. Bzzz.